Hey guys, it's Sasha, and as you can tell, I am completely bald. Well, almost bald. You know, my barber did push my hairline back maybe 30 years, so that happened. Now, you may be asking yourself, Sasha, why in the world would you do this to your hair? Now, let me answer it like this. It is bulking season, and what do you do during bulking season? You cut your hair. There's a direct reverse correlation between the length of hair and how much gains you make in the gym. So it had to go. For those of you that don't know, it was my birthday a couple of days ago. What did I get for my birthday? A blender, okay? And 5 kilograms of mass gainer. You know why? Because it's bulking season. Anyway, let's talk about today's topic for Real Talk number 6. Today's video will be about a topic that's somewhat close to heart, and that is just the lack of action. Now, what do I mean by lack of action? A lot of the time, we as people tend to think and overthink, especially, and what this overthinking leads to is us essentially predicting the future outcome of a particular action we take without never actually taking the action. A lot of the time, this overthinking has a negative connotation. We tend to pick out the worst case scenario, and that worst case scenario just sticks with us, and we think if we try doing this, this is what's going to happen, and this is going to be bad. Which, as you can imagine, is a completely wrong way of thinking. Now, from my personal experience, this has manifested in several different ways. The two biggest ones that I can bring up as examples is, for one, this one I bring up a lot, is my nicotine addiction, and two, my past problem with video games. Let me talk a bit about both. One, the nicotine addiction. This was closer to the time that I actually wanted to quit, and the biggest problem when I was trying to quit was my own self-doubt about whether I can push through or not. Because at least for me, every time that I even had the thought of quitting and I, wanted to take action, I started telling myself that even if I quit now, 3 weeks down the line, 4 weeks down the line, a couple of months down the line, I will still be using nicotine pouches. This sort of thinking only prolongs and extends suffering. Now, suffering is a pretty big word to use here because obviously not everyone suffers from a lack of action. But in my opinion, if you want to do something and you delay that because you think you can't do it, you are literally hurting yourself. And many people have the same problem, just with other substances, other drugs, with other forms of nicotine. Now, you also have to remember that there's two different types of this lack of action, right? There's a lack of action that pushes something away, and there's a lack of action that brings something closer. In the case of substance abuse, nicotine addiction, alcohol addiction, whatever it may be, any form of addiction, any bad habit, the longer you tell yourself that it's impossible to quit, that, oh, well, I'm doing this now, and if I stop for a week or two, well, after that, I'll just feel so bad that I will have to start again. So why would I quit anyway? This perpetual cycle of thinking and affirming your own negative beliefs only drags you further and further down. Now, in the sense of bringing things to you, there are many times where we have experiences that we want to try. Maybe we want to start working out. Maybe we want to try a new diet. Maybe we want to go talk to that girl, make new friends, whatever. We constantly overthink those actions. Well, what if I start going to the gym but I don't see any progress? Or if I go to the gym and my diet is bad, well, then I guess there's no point in going to the gym in the first place. If I go talk to that girl, she's just gonna hate me. She's gonna think I'm horrible. She's gonna think I'm ugly. She's gonna think I have no charisma. And if I try to make friends with those people over there, they're gonna hate me. I'm sure that many of this sounds like common sense, but I'm also 100% sure that 90% of us do this. Maybe not everyone struggles with talking to people. Maybe it's really easy for someone to make friends, go up to them and chat up, but maybe it's hard for them to go in the gym. Maybe it's hard for them to go exercise. You have to remember that, similarly to what I spoke about in the video about law of accumulation, every action and every decision that you make matters in the grand scheme of things. You may think that making your bed in the morning is a trivial task and like whatever, I made my bed, I did make my bed, doesn't matter. No. But a lot of these small actions and these small decisions, they push us on either the right or the wrong path. And sure, making your bed in the morning might not affect you today. Duh. Like, you don't make your bed in the morning, God is not going to strike you down with thunder. But think about it. What do people associate making your bed with? Being clean, being organized. And what do people associate being organized with? With success, success in academia, success in life. It doesn't matter. Just think about that. So why am I saying all this? What I'm trying to get at is that your lack of action and constant overthinking will cause you to make bad decisions. Something I mentioned before is that a lot of us just live our life on autopilot. We don't challenge our beliefs, we don't get out of our comfort zone, we don't do anything different day to day. And that's how a lot of people grow up as well. That's why you see people sit in the same jobs, be in the same communities for decades, complaining the whole time about the fact that they don't like it. But what do they do to get out of it? They don't do anything. And sometimes, as I mentioned, that lack of action hurts you more than it benefits you. Now, I've only mentioned the nicotine part so far, but that was all to preface this video games thing. In my experience, it's been very difficult to stop playing games. It has been, right? And although it might sound stupid, like, well, just turn off the computer, little bro, what are you talking about? I grew up playing video games. You know, a lot of my time, even with my friends from school, was spent online playing video games. And that's how I learned to have fun when I was younger. When I recognized that it's harmful for me, to be in a space of video games and spend my time there because I'm not doing anything productive. One thing is if you're streaming, if you're making videos, okay, do your thing, boss. But I don't do that. I never did that, and I didn't want to do it. I played video games because it was my way of getting dopamine. It was my way of having fun. Although to many, video games are just a hobby where you play for maybe an hour, maybe 2 hours a day max, kind of blow off some steam, so to speak. For me, it translated into a much bigger problem. And I literally spent years of my life being chronically online, as funny as that sounds, right? And when I was initially trying to kind of push back against it, it was extremely difficult. And the whole time I was thinking and I was affirming to myself that, like, what else would I do in my free time? So might as well play. What value would I get out of quitting video games? I guess nothing. This is just my way of having fun. And I kept giving myself reason not to even try to stop, not to try other things. I think this is a big trap that we as humans put ourselves into, and I did too. I'm happy that I'm out of that world. I am happy that at some point I took action to stop myself from playing video games and get out of that space. Sure, I can play something on my phone sometimes. I can play stupid Blog Blaster or whatever, but it doesn't take up the majority of my day anymore. It doesn't take up the majority of my life. My social life is not online anymore. Well, I guess social media, you know, whatever. My way of getting dopamine, my way of having fun is not from video games. And I'm telling you this because I'm almost speaking to myself. If you don't take action, if you keep constantly overthinking the same thing over and over again, and you keep seeing these negative outcomes, oh, I don't want to try this venture because it's gonna fail. I don't want to stop this habit because it doesn't matter, I'm gonna start again. What kind of idiotic thinking is that, okay? What are you even talking about? What was I talking about? And you may not see direct results and direct positive feedback from taking action. It may be a thing that happens over time. When I initially stopped using nicotine, or when I initially stopped playing video games, I mean, you can imagine how much that sucked. It actually sucked. My way of generating dopamine in my brain was stripped away. It was gone. It was out of sight. So I had to almost like reinvent myself and find new ways of having fun and find things to do in my free time that filled up that gap that were more productive. Look, all I'm trying to say is that oftentimes the lack of action hurts us more than actually trying something. And we as humans are so defensive and so scared of getting hurt in the process of doing a particular thing that we would rather stay in this bubble that we built for ourselves because I don't know what's outside. I don't know. It's scary. It's really terrifying. Like, bro, are you serious? Anyway, unfortunately, there's not much practical advice I can give here. You just have to do whatever it is that you're thinking about doing. Just do it. There's a funny video that used to be an old meme by Shia LaBeouf, which was just do it. It was a Nike commercial or whatever the hell that was. I think it's still the Nike slogan, or it used to be, I don't know. And as funny as that was, it's the truth. Another great person that spoke about this is Chris Williamson. I'm sure you guys know his podcast. But thinking about doing something is not doing something. Planning on doing something is not doing something. Talking about doing something is not doing something. You have to do it, right? And this constant overthinking and this lack of action will hurt you in the long run more than you can imagine. So start taking action, start doing things that you're talking about doing, about whatever you're thinking about doing. Just do those things. You're not going to regret it. Even if shit goes south and everything goes wrong, you learned an invaluable experience that you wouldn't have learned otherwise. Sure, you may get slightly hurt in the process, but who cares? You have another 20, 30, 40, 50 years, if not more, to live on this earth. And this one thing that you tried might be the biggest revelation that you've ever experienced. And it's the biggest, the most life-changing moment, but it won't happen unless you make it happen. So go after it, guys. Anyway, this was Sasha, and like I said, Real Talk number 6. Stay awesome, guys. Stay motivated. Stay disciplined. Stay bold.